Trump was right. This is the story of an America sold. The narrative explores how the country has changed, potentially supporting Trump's claims or predictions. Jack Harmon is a third-generation steelworker from a small town. His town briefly flourished under Trump's protectionist policies. Now, Jack watches in horror as new administrations dismantle those tariffs. They claim it's for global cooperation, but factories are closing again. Foreign interests are buying up American assets at an alarming rate. Jack documents the rapid decline of everything he once loved. He wonders if Trump's vision of American economic independence was their last chance. When Chinese investors target his family's land, Jack faces a tough decision. Should he fight for a nation that seems determined to sell itself piece by piece? The early morning sun struggled to shine through Rustville's hazy sky. A thick layer of industrial smoke hung over the town. For generations, the steel mill's towering outline had dominated the skyline. It stood as a last symbol of American manufacturing in the area. The town was close to becoming outdated, fighting to stay relevant in changing times. Jack Harmon had a weathered face lined from years of work. He made his way through the familiar corridors of the mill. The weight of his hard hat felt natural to him. The smell of hot metal surrounded him, as familiar as his own skin. These sensations were constant reminders of his long career at the mill.
Another day, another dollar. Let's make it count, boys.
Jack's voice carried a forced cheerfulness. It masked the growing undercurrent of concern. This feeling had been building for weeks. As Jack approached his workstation, he noticed something unusual. His coworkers were exchanging hushed conversations. They also shared worried glances with each other. Jack couldn't help but observe these subtle signs of unease around him.
Hey Jack, have you heard the latest news? Word is, this might be our last shift. The bigwigs are planning to sell us out. Apparently they're selling to some Chinese company.
Come on, Frank. You can't believe every rumor that flies around here. We've faced worse challenges before.
I don't know, man. This feels different. Thompson's been locked up in his office all week. He's been meeting with suits the entire time.
Jack's jaw clenched. Despite this, he forced a smile. He clapped Frank on the shoulder.
Listen up, everyone. As long as there's steel to be made, we'll be here to make it. Now, let's get to work. We need to start before the foreman arrives and starts checking on us.
As the shift progressed, Jack couldn't shake the nagging doubt. Frank's words had planted this uncertainty in his mind. He watched his colleagues, both men and women. These were people he had known for decades. They were going through the motions at work. There was a palpable tension in the air. The atmosphere was heavy with unspoken worries.
Harmon, a word, please.
The union leader's voice rose above the loud machinery. Jack wiped his brow and approached the scene. He noticed the grim expression on the man's face as he got closer.
What's the story, boss? More budget cuts?
Worse. There's going to be an emergency town hall meeting tonight. Management's calling everyone in.
Tonight? But we're scheduled for maintenance shutdown. What's so urgent it can't wait?
I wish I knew, Jack. Whatever it is, it's big. I've got a feeling about this. We're probably not going to like it.
Jack felt a chill run down his spine. This was despite the intense heat of the mill. He looked around at the massive machinery. Glowing furnaces surrounded him. This place had been like a second home to him for so long.
This place has stood for over 100 years. It's not going anywhere. It can't.
Jack felt uneasy as he spoke. He couldn't ignore the sinking feeling in his gut. The world was changing rapidly. Rustville seemed to be getting left behind. Jack turned back to his work. The rhythmic clanging of metal filled the air. It sounded less like the heartbeat of industry now. Instead, it felt more like a funeral song for their way of life. The shift ended and the machines wound down at the mill. An unsettling quiet descended over the area. Workers gathered their things in somber silence. A sense of uncertainty weighed heavily in the air. Jack lingered, his hand resting on a control panel. It seemed as if his determination alone could keep Rustville alive. He hoped his willpower might sustain the town's livelihood.
See you at the meeting, Frank. And, hey, let's not jump to conclusions, all right?
Sure, Jack. See you there.
Jack finally turned to leave his shift. He couldn't shake a feeling of finality. This might be the last shift, not just for him, but for Rustville itself. The future loomed before him, dark and uncertain. Night was falling over the town he called home. The Rustville Community Center was filled with tension. Residents were arriving for the town hall meeting. Jack Harmon entered the room. His weathered hands showed traces of mill grime. He settled into a creaky folding chair near the front. The air was heavy with worry and speculation. Everyone was concerned about the future of their beloved steel mill.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. I know there have been many rumors going around. I want to address these rumors directly with all of you.
Mayor Linda Chen's voice was firm. However, it carried a hint of worry. Jack leaned forward, his forehead creasing. He sensed the importance of what was about to be said.
I'll get straight to the point. Rustville Steel has been facing major money problems for years. We've tried our best, but we've hit a critical moment. The board of directors has made a decision. They voted to sell our mill. The buyer is Zhonghua Industries, a Chinese company.
What? You can't be serious.
Jack's voice echoed loudly in the community center. The crowd fell silent. He stood up, his face visibly red. Anger and disbelief were evident in his expression. The atmosphere in the room became tense as everyone waited for Jack to speak.
Jack, I understand this is difficult news.
Difficult? It's more than that. This is a complete betrayal. That mill has been the lifeblood of our town for generations. My grandfather, my father, and now me. We've all dedicated our lives to it. And now you're just going to sell it off? To some foreign company, no less? This decision undermines our family's legacy, and the town's very foundation. It's not just a business transaction. It's a betrayal of trust and community values that have been built over decades.
We don't have a choice, Jack. The mill has been losing money for years. This sale is the only way to keep the mill operating. We hope to save at least some of the jobs through this action.
Save jobs? That's just corporate doublespeak. Don't try to fool me, Linda. We all know what really happens. Foreign companies buy our factories for a reason. They strip them for parts and ship the work overseas.
The crowd murmured in agreement. Many people nodded their heads. Mayor Chen's composure faltered slightly. She attempted to regain control of the meeting. The room's atmosphere was tense as the mayor tried to address the situation.
I know this is emotional for everyone. However, we must face economic realities. The global market has changed. Rustville needs to adapt or risk decline.
Adapt? Is that what you're suggesting? You want us to roll over and let them destroy our town? No, we choose to fight back. We've always fought for what belongs to us, and we're not going to stop now.
Jack's words sparked excitement in the room. Shouts of agreement and applause erupted from the crowd. Mayor Chen raised her hands to calm the growing tension.
Please, everyone. I understand your frustration. This decision wasn't made lightly. We've explored every option.
Well, you didn't explore hard enough. This isn't over, Linda. Not by a long shot.
Jack stormed out of the community center. The doors slammed behind him as he left. He emerged into the cool night air. His mind raced with determination. Jack knew this was just the beginning. A long, hard fight lay ahead. This battle would change him and Rustville forever. The Harmon family home once symbolized American prosperity. Now it stood as a worn-out guardian in Rustville's declining landscape. Inside, tension filled the air. Jack Harmon and his son Thomas confronted each other in the living room. Their voices grew louder with every word exchanged.
Thomas, you can't be serious. This mill has been vital to our town for generations. We can't just give up so easily. We mustn't let a foreign company destroy it.
Dad, you're not seeing the big picture. The world is changing rapidly. Rustville needs to adapt to these changes. These investors could bring new life to our town.
Jack's face reddened with emotion. His rough hands tightened into fists at his sides. Sarah Harmon watched from the kitchen doorway. Her eyes were filled with concern as she observed Jack's reaction.
New life? Is that really what we're being offered? They'll drain us of everything we have. We'll be left with nothing of value. All we'll get are empty promises and unemployment checks.
What if they modernize the mill? They could bring in new technology. This might create different kinds of jobs. We can't keep clinging to the past, Dad.
Boys, please. Can't we discuss this civilly? We're family.
Sarah made a soft plea. It seemed to briefly reduce the tension in their disagreement. Jack took a deep breath. He struggled to contain his frustration. The gentle approach from Sarah had a momentary effect on their heated discussion. However, Jack was still working to manage his emotional response to the situation.
Sarah, this isn't just about our family. It's about every family in Rustville. Thomas, you went off to college and saw the world. But this town and this mill define who we are.
That's exactly the problem, Dad. We're more than just a mill town. We could be so much more. We just need to open our eyes to the possibilities.
The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken words. Decades of history hung in the air. Jack moved to the window, gazing out at the street. This was where he had played as a boy. It was also where Thomas had learned to ride a bike. The view brought back a flood of memories, connecting past and present in a poignant moment of reflection.
You think I don't see the changes? I see the closed shops and foreclosed homes, but selling out isn't the answer. There has to be another way.
Jack, honey, maybe Thomas has a point. We can't stop progress. But Thomas, your father is right too. This town deserves a fair opportunity.
Sarah's words hung in the air. They formed a fragile bridge between two generations. Thomas ran a hand through his hair. His frustration was evident in every movement.
I'm not saying we should give up, Dad. What I'm saying is that we need to adapt. We should find a compromise. Let's work with these investors instead of against them.
Compromise? With the people trying to buy our livelihood out from under us.
Jack's voice was bitter. There was a flicker of something else in his eyes. It was the first sign of realization. This battle would be far more complex than he had imagined.
Yes, compromise is important. It's not a dirty word, Dad. This is how the world works now. We can fight to keep the mill, but we need to be smart about it.
The room fell silent as Jack turned from the window. His gaze moved from Thomas to Sarah and back again. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders.
I hear you, son. I don't like it, but I understand. This fight will be more complex than I anticipated. I just hope we're ready for it.
We will be, Jack. Together.
Sarah moved to stand between her husband and son. The Harmon family stood united in their love. Their unity transcended differences in ideology. They shared a deep affection for each other in their town. Outside, fading light cast long shadows across Rustville. This scene served as a visual reminder of future challenges. The sun rises over Rustville. It casts long shadows across the rundown buildings and empty lots. Jack Harmon stands outside the steel mill. He watches his fellow workers file in for the morning shift. Jack's jaw is set with determination. He prepares to take his first steps into a new world. It's a world he never thought he'd enter. Jack is becoming an organizer and leader.
All right, fellas, got a minute before you clock in?
Sure, Jack. What's on your mind?
You've all heard the rumors about the mill being sold. I'm not going to stand by and watch our livelihoods get shipped overseas. We need to fight this. I need your help.
A murmur ripples through the small crowd. Some people nod in agreement. Others look skeptical or resigned. The quiet sound spreads, revealing a mix of reactions among those gathered.
Jack, I appreciate what you are trying to do. But what chance do we have? This town has been dying for years.
That's exactly why we need to fight. This mill is all we've got left. If we lose it, Rustville dies with it. I'm not asking you to believe we can win yet. I'm just asking you to stand with me and try.
I'm with you, Jack. What's the plan?
There's a meeting at the Union Hall tonight. Please spread the word about this gathering. Bring anyone who's willing to listen. We need every voice we can get for support.
As the workers disperse, Jack notices something unusual. An older man is watching from across the street. The man begins to approach Jack. His walk is slow but determined.
You've got fire, son. Reminds me of the old days.
Thanks. Who are you?
My name is Bill. I led the union back in 1985. That was during the big strike. It looks like you might need some of that old knowledge.
Jack's eyes widen. He shows recognition. He also displays respect.
I'd be grateful for any advice you can give, Bill. We're facing an uphill battle here.
That we are, son. Remember this important fact. Every right and benefit we have in this job was hard-earned. Every bit of pride was fought for and won. It was people just like you who made this happen. Don't let anyone tell you it can't be done.
As Bill speaks, Jack feels a surge of determination. The weight of history weighs on his mind. He thinks of those who came before him. Their struggles strengthen his resolve.
I won't let them down, Bill. I won't let Rustville down.
Good. Now let's talk strategy. You're going to need more than just the mill workers on your side.
As the day progresses, Jack moves through Rustville. He speaks with shop owners, teachers, and residents. Some people turn him away abruptly. However, others welcome him warmly. The people of Rustville are eager for hope.
Jack, if you can save the mill, you'll be saving my store too. Count me in.
Thanks, Mary. We need everyone we can get. Spread the word about the meeting tonight.
By evening, Jack stands before a packed union hall. The air is filled with tension and expectation. He takes a deep breath, feeling overwhelmed. Jack senses the weight of his community's future. This responsibility rests heavily on his shoulders. The crowd waits anxiously for him to speak, knowing that his words could shape their lives.
Friends and neighbors, we're here tonight for an important reason. Russville is at a crossroads. The mill that built our town and supported us for many years is under threat. But I'm here to tell you that we have a choice. We can give up and let our way of life be sold off, or we can stand up and fight for what's ours.
A cheer goes up from the crowd. Jack notices uncertainty on some faces. He knows this is just the beginning. A long, hard fight lies ahead.
And what about the environmental cost? That mill's been poisoning our air and water for years.
I hear your concerns. These are issues we need to address. However, losing the mill means losing our voice. We'd lose our ability to make things better. In fact, we'd lose everything. We must find a way forward. Our solution should protect both our jobs and the environment.
The meeting continues late into the night. Jack feels a mix of hope and worry. He's taken the first step, but the real challenge lies ahead. The future of Russville is uncertain. Jack Harmon has just become the town's unexpected champion. Despite his doubts, he's determined to fight for Russville's fate. The Russville Town Square was once a bustling center of community life. Now it stood as a faded reminder of better days. Today, however, the square hummed with nervous energy. Residents gathered to hear Senator William Burke speak. He was addressing the proposed sale of their beloved steel mill.
My fellow Americans, I come to you today with a message of hope and progress for Russville.
Senator Burke's clear voice rang out across the square. His crisp suit and winning smile stood in sharp contrast to the tired-looking townspeople. Among the crowd, Jack Harmon was present. He stood with his arms crossed, his jaw tight as he listened carefully to the speech.
The sale of the mill to our Chinese partners represents a new chapter for your community. This change brings investment to the area. It means new job opportunities. It also means a promising future for Russville.
Jack, you hearing this bull? He's selling us out and calling it progress.
I hear it, Frank. And I'm not buying it.
Jack's eyes narrowed as he watched Burke. The senator was addressing the audience. His words seemed to wash over some people. Others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They exchanged worried glances with each other.
Change can be frightening. However, I assure you, this is the best way ahead. It's the right direction for Russville and for America. We must adapt to survive in the global economy.
Adapt or surrender?
Jack's voice cut through the murmurs of the crowd. Heads turned, and a hush fell over the square. Senator Burke paused in his speech. His well-rehearsed smile wavered for a moment. Then, he quickly regained his composure.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, sir. Do you have a question?
Jack Harmon is a third-generation steelworker. He has a question about recent developments. How does selling our mill to a foreign company help America? This sale affects our jobs and our town's future. Jack wonders about the impact on the community and the country.
The crowd stirred restlessly. There was a mix of nods and nervous shuffling. Burke's eyes narrowed slightly. He recognized the challenge before him. The varied reactions of the audience were clear. Some approved, while others seemed uneasy. Burke's subtle change in expression showed his awareness. He understood that a difficult situation was unfolding.
Mr. Harmon, I understand your concern. However, the reality is that this sale will benefit Russville. It will bring essential funds to our town. The sale will also modernize the mill. This modernization will create new jobs for our community.
New jobs? For who? Our people? Or cheaper labor from overseas?
Jack's voice grew stronger. Years of suppressed frustration and fear fueled him. He stepped forward. Jack moved closer, reducing the gap between himself and the senator.
This mill isn't just a business, Senator. It's our heritage and our community. My grandfather, my father, and now me have all been involved. We've poured our lives into that steel, and you want to sell it off like it's nothing?
Now, Mr. Harmon, let's not get emotional. We're talking about economic realities here.
Emotional? You're damn right I'm emotional. This is our home you're talking about. Our livelihoods and our American dream are at stake. I want to know, Senator Burke, whose dream you're really serving. Is it ours or your corporate donors?
A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Someone in the back started to clap. Then another person joined in. Soon, a wave of applause spread across the square. Shouts of agreement filled the air. Burke's face reddened in response. His composure began to crack.
Excuse me, Jack Harmon? I'm Alexandra Reeves from National News. Can you tell us more about your concerns regarding this sale?
A reporter approached with a microphone. Suddenly, Jack found himself at the center of attention. Cameras were flashing all around him. The eyes of his entire community were fixed upon him, watching intently.
Listen, This isn't just about Russville, it's about what's happening all across America. We're selling our future, piece by piece. It's time we took a stand. Our country faces a widespread issue that goes beyond one town. The effects are felt nationwide, as we gradually lose what matters most. Now is the moment for action, to protect what we value before it's too late.
As Jack spoke, he could feel something changing. The change was in the air and within himself. This wasn't just a confrontation anymore. It was the beginning of something bigger. A battle for the soul of Russville was starting. This fight could impact the entire nation. Before we continue, take a moment to reflect. What do you think about this story? What would you like to hear next? Please share your thoughts in the comments. The Russville City Hall loomed before Jack. Its old brick exterior showed signs of better times gone by. Jack paused at the bottom of the steps. His rough hands fidgeted nervously. He took a deep breath, preparing himself for what was to come.
This is crazy. What am I even doing here?
Jack muttered to himself. He knew he had no choice. The fate of the mill and Russville hung in the balance. With a deep breath, Jack climbed the steps. He entered the building. The mayor's office door was open. Jack could hear Mayor Chen's voice. Her tone was crisp and authoritative. She was speaking on the phone. These observations gave Jack a clear sense of the mayor's presence and demeanor, even before entering the office.
I understand your concerns. We need to explore all options for Russville's future. Yes, I'll keep you updated. Thank you.
Jack knocked on the door frame. This action caused Mayor Chen to look up. The mayor's expression showed surprise.
Mr. Harmon, this is unexpected. Please come in.
Mayor Chen, I hope I'm not interrupting anything important.
Jack's voice was gruff. It revealed his discomfort. He stepped into the office. His work boots left faint marks on the polished floor.
Not at all. What can I do for you?
Linda Chen's tone was cautious but curious. She gestured for Jack to take a seat. Linda studied him intently.
I'll get right to it. We need to discuss the mill. We can't let it be sold to foreign investors. The mill is the lifeblood of our town. I believe we must work together to save it.
The words seemed to pain Jack as he spoke them. His pride was in conflict with his desperation.
I'm listening, Mr. Harmon, but I have to ask you something. What has changed? You've never seemed eager to work together before.
Things are different now. This isn't just about jobs or politics anymore. It's about our town's soul. As much as it pains me to admit it, I can't fight this battle alone. The situation in our town has changed dramatically. We're facing a challenge that goes beyond employment issues or political debates. What's at stake is the very essence of our community. I find it difficult to acknowledge, but I've realized that I need help to address this crucial matter.
Mayor Chen leaned back in her chair. A thoughtful expression appeared on her face.
I appreciate your honesty, Jack. I agree that Russville's future is at stake. But you have to understand, there are no easy solutions here. The economic realities we're facing are complex.
I know that. But there's got to be a way to keep the mill running. We need to avoid selling out to foreign interests. Maybe we could look into worker ownership, or we could explore other alternatives.
Jack's suggestion surprised even himself. He remembered Thomas mentioning something similar before. At the time, Jack had dismissed the idea. Now, he found himself reconsidering it in a new light.
Worker ownership is an interesting idea. It would require a significant amount of work. We would need expert help to structure it properly. However, it could be a way to preserve jobs. It might also help keep control local. This approach offers potential benefits, but careful planning is essential.
A glimmer of hope appeared in Jack's eyes. This was mirrored by a spark of interest in Mayor Chen's gaze.
So you'll help? You'll work with us to save the mill?
I can't promise miracles, Jack. But yes, I'm willing to explore this option with you. We'll need to set aside our disagreements. We must work together on this. Can you do that?
Jack stood up. He extended his hand. The gesture reached across the desk.
For Russville, yeah, I can do that.
Mayor Chen stood up. He reached out to Jack. Chen grasped Jack's hand firmly. The handshake was a gesture of mutual respect and acknowledgement between the two men.
Then let's get to work, Mr. Harmon. We have a long road ahead of us.
Jack and Mayor Chen shook hands. They realized their unexpected partnership could be crucial. This collaboration might be key to Russville's survival. The battle was far from over. Yet, for the first time in a while, hope appeared. A glimmer of optimism shone on the horizon. The Russville Public Library stood as a testament to better times. Its aged brick exterior contrasted sharply with the gleaming computers inside. As the sun dipped low, It cast long shadows across the quiet streets. Jack Harmon gathered with his small team of supporters. They huddled around a table piled high with documents.
All right, folks, we've got a lot of ground to cover here. Let's focus on finding anything unusual about this sale.
You got it, Jack. I'll start with these financial reports. Something about these numbers seems off. They just don't add up correctly.
They carefully examined the documents. The room was mostly silent. Only the rustle of paper could be heard. Occasionally, a frustrated sigh broke the quiet. Hours slowly ticked by. The old library clock steadily marked the passing time.
Jack, take a look at this. There are transactions between Senator Burke's campaign fund and a shell company. These transactions coincide with key dates in the mill sale negotiations.
What? Let me see that, Dr. Lee.
Jack's forehead wrinkled as he examined the document. His expression became more serious with each passing second.
This can't be a coincidence. Frank, I need your help. Can you pull up that list? I'm looking for subsidiaries of Chinese conglomerates. We need to check something important.
On it, buddy. Holy shit, Jack. That shell company? It's listed right here as a subsidiary of the conglomerate.
Son of a bitch. Burke's been in bed with them this whole time.
The weight of the revelation settled over the group. An obvious tension filled the air. Jack stood up and began pacing. He walked the length of the table. His hands were clenched into fists. The atmosphere was charged with unease as everyone processed the news.
This goes beyond just selling the mill, Jack. These connections appear to be suspicious. We're looking at a level of corruption in our local government. This corruption could undermine the core of our governance. The implications are serious and far-reaching.
And it might not stop at local. God knows how far up this goes.
What do we do now, Jack? This is bigger than we ever imagined.
Jack paused by the window. He gazed out at the dark streets of Rustville. The burden of responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders.
We keep digging. We follow every lead, no matter where it takes us. This isn't just about saving our jobs anymore. It's about saving our town, and maybe even our country. We're trying to prevent it from being secretly sold without our knowledge.
We'll need to be careful, Jack. Powerful people won't want this information getting out.
I know the risks, Dr. Lee, but we can't back down now. Not when we're finally seeing the truth.
The team nodded in agreement. Their faces showed a mixture of determination and worry. Jack turned back to the table. His eyes blazed with newfound purpose. This moment marked a turning point for the group.
All right, let's get back to work. We've got a long night ahead of us. A tough fight is coming our way.
The group bent their heads over the documents once more. The true scope of their battle was becoming clear. What had started as a fight for a single steel mill was quickly changing. It was now a struggle for the future of Rustville. Perhaps it even affected America itself. This local issue had grown into something much larger, touching the very heart of the community and possibly the nation. The once quiet streets of Rustville were now buzzing with activity. News vans and reporters swarmed the town. Jack Harmon found himself thrust into the spotlight. He was at the center of a media frenzy he never anticipated. The sudden attention transformed the small town's atmosphere, catching everyone, especially Jack, by surprise.
What the hell is all this? I can't even walk down to the diner without tripping over a camera crew.
Welcome to fame, Jack. You're the talk of the nation now.
Frank Miller placed a hand on Jack's shoulder. Frank's expression was a mix of pride and concern. As they walked together, reporters began to shout questions. These questions came from all directions around them.
Mr. Harmon, I'm Alexandra Reeves from National News Network. How do you respond to claims about your fight against the mill's sale? Some say you're just delaying the inevitable.
Look, selling out American workers isn't inevitable. We've been here for generations. We're not going anywhere without a fight.
Jack's words sounded harsher than he meant. His frustration was evident in his tone. Alexandra's eyes lit up with interest. She sensed there was a story behind his words.
Some people are calling you a working-class hero. Others say you're clinging to an outdated way of life. Which view is correct?
I'm just a guy trying to save his town. Hero, relic, those are your words, not mine.
Jack pushed through the crowd. He caught sight of his son Thomas. Thomas was watching from across the street. A worried look appeared on his face.
Dad, can we talk? I think you need to be careful with what you're saying to these reporters.
What's that supposed to mean? I'm just telling the truth.
I understand your position. However, your approach is causing concern. Some people are beginning to view you differently. They see you as opposed to progress. Some even perceive you as fearful of foreigners.
Xenophobic? That's ridiculous. This isn't about where people come from. It's about protecting jobs for American workers. We're focused on ensuring employment opportunities stay within our borders.
Jack's voice had risen. This attracted the attention of nearby reporters. Thomas winced at the situation. He realized his attempt to help had backfired.
Jack, a word please?
Mayor Linda Chen approached the scene. Her face displayed professional calm. This was despite the chaos around them.
We need to talk about your media strategy. This attention could be a powerful tool. However, it's important to recognize that it's a double-edged sword. It can bring both benefits and potential risks to your situation.
Strategy? I'm just trying to save our town, Linda. I don't have time for PR games.
That's exactly why we need to talk. Your passion is admirable. However, without the right approach, it could be problematic. An incorrect method might have negative consequences. We should discuss how to channel your enthusiasm effectively to achieve positive results.
Jack looked between Linda's concerned face and the group of reporters. The weight of his new role began to sink in. He realized that saving Rustville would require more than just determination. It would demand a completely new set of skills. Jack wasn't sure he possessed these skills yet. The challenge ahead seemed daunting, but he knew he had to face it head-on.
All right, Linda, what do you have in mind?
Linda nodded and led Jack away from the crowd. They were both keenly aware of being watched. Every step and word was now under scrutiny. The fate of Rustville hung in the balance. Jack's next moves could tip the scales either way. The imposing front of the Capitol building loomed before Jack. He ascended the steps, his weathered hands clutching a worn briefcase. The weight of Rustville's future pressed upon his shoulders. It felt heavier than any steel beam he'd ever lifted. Jack's responsibility was as massive as the building before him.
This is it, Frank. I never thought I'd be standing here. Now I'm fighting for our town. And I'm doing it in the halls of Congress.
You've got this, Jack. Remember, you're speaking for all of us back home.
As they entered the building, Jack's eyes widened. The grandeur surrounding him was astonishing. Marble columns and ornate ceilings adorned the space. This opulence seemed completely different from Rustville. The town was known for its struggling mill and harsh reality.
Mr. Harmon, welcome to Washington. I'm Congressman David Foster. We spoke on the phone earlier. Our conversation was about your testimony.
Congressman Foster, thank you for your support. I hope they'll listen to my perspective. As a steelworker from Pennsylvania, I have something to say.
Don't underestimate yourself, Jack. Your perspective is exactly what this committee needs to hear. Now, let's review your talking points. We'll go over them one last time before the hearing.
As they walked through the corridors, Jack observed something unusual. Politicians from both sides were engaged in hushed conversations. The gravity of the situation was clear to everyone. The serious atmosphere was palpable as they moved through the building.
Well, if it isn't Jack Harmon, the man of the hour.
Jack turned around. He saw Senator William Burke approaching. The senator wore an expensive suit. His smile was just as polished. This combination of attire and expression exuded an air of refined confidence as he neared Jack.
Senator Burke, I didn't expect to see you here.
Jack, I may not agree with your stance. However, I respect your dedication to your community. This issue is bigger than political party boundaries. It's about the future of American industry.
Jack's forehead wrinkled. He was surprised by the senator's friendly tone.
I appreciate that, Senator. Maybe there's hope for finding common ground after all.
They entered the hearing room. Jack made eye contact with Dr. Samantha Lee. She gave him an encouraging nod. Dr. Lee was seated among the expert witnesses. Her presence there provided Jack with reassurance as the proceedings began. The committee chairman called the hearing to order. Jack took his seat at the testimony table. He looked out at the sea of faces before him. In that moment, Jack realized something profound. This wasn't just about Rustville anymore. It was about the very soul of America itself.
Mr. Chairman and committee members, thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate the chance to speak with you today. My topic goes beyond just a steel mill. I'm here to discuss the heart of America. We must consider why we can't let it be sold off. The highest bidder shouldn't determine our nation's future. This issue affects the very core of our country and its values.
As Jack began his testimony, he felt a surge of confidence. For the first time, he truly understood the significance of his fight. His battle for Rustville was part of a much larger struggle. It was a fight for the nation's future. Jack's truck rumbled into Rustville. The familiar sight of weathered buildings greeted him. The towering outline of the steel mill dominated the view. The town seemed quieter than usual. An uneasy feeling hung in the air. Posters on storefronts caught Jack's eye. Some supported his fight to save the mill. Others urged acceptance of the coming changes. The town was clearly divided on its future.
Home sweet home. Doesn't feel so sweet anymore.
Jack stepped out of his truck. His boots hit the cracked pavement with a heavy thud. A small group of people had gathered near the town hall. Their hushed conversations fell silent. They noticed Jack's arrival.
Jack, you're back. How'd it go in Washington?
Frank, good to see you. It was complicated. We've got a lot to discuss.
Frank's expression wavered between hope and concern. Jack was about to elaborate on the situation. At that moment, Mayor Linda Chen approached them. Her face displayed professional neutrality.
Welcome back, Mr. Harmon. I hope you're prepared for tonight's town meeting. Things have been tense while you were away.
Tense how, Mayor? What's been happening?
The town is divided, Jack. Some people see your efforts as our last hope. Others have a different view. They think you're just postponing what can't be avoided. These people believe you're making things worse.
Jack's jaw clenched tightly. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders. He glanced around the gathering. Jack noticed a mix of reactions from his fellow townspeople. Some faces showed support, while others looked wary.
I understand the situation. However, we can't give up without a fight. This issue goes beyond just the mill. It's about our community and our way of life.
I hope you can convince them of that. The meeting starts in an hour. Be ready.
Linda walked away. Jack turned to Frank. He lowered his voice.
Frank, gather the guys from the mill. We need to present a united front tonight.
You got it, Jack. But I gotta warn you, even some of our own are starting to waver.
An hour later, the town hall was completely full. The atmosphere was tense. Jack made his way to the podium. Familiar faces stared back at him. Some people looked hopeful, while others appeared skeptical. A few in the audience seemed openly unfriendly. The mix of reactions added to the charged mood in the room.
Good evening, everyone. I know there's been a lot of uncertainty and fear lately. I'm here to tell you that our fight isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning.
And how long are we supposed to hold on, Jack? My business is barely staying afloat as it is.
The mill's operation has a significant effect on the environment. We should consider the consequences of keeping it running. Perhaps it's time for a change. We could explore cleaner industrial alternatives.
Jack held up his hands. He was trying to calm the rising voices. He could see divisions in the community. These rifts were growing wider before his eyes. The tension in the room was palpable as Jack attempted to mediate the escalating conflict.
I hear you, all of you. I understand your concerns. Selling out to foreign investors isn't the answer. We have a chance to save the mill. We can reinvent it and make it ours.
What are you talking about, Harmon? How can we possibly compete with global prices?
Worker ownership is a model that has proven successful in various places. By adopting this approach, we take control of our future. We can modernize our operations and improve efficiency. This allows us to keep the profits within our community. The employee-owned business model empowers workers and benefits the local economy.
A mix of intrigued murmurs and skeptical scoffs filled the room. Jack could see he faced a significant challenge. He had a long way to go to unite the town. Jack needed to gain support for his vision.
Mr. Harmon, your idea is interesting. However, it will take more than just passion to make this work. We need concrete plans for this project. Financial backing is also necessary.
You're right, Mayor. I'm asking for your help. All of you. This isn't just my fight. It's ours. We need to come together. We must pool our resources, skills, and determination. Only then can we save the mill and Rustville itself.
Jack looked out at the crowd of people before him. He realized that saving the mill was only the beginning. The real challenge lay in healing Rustville's deep divisions. It was a daunting task, but hope emerged. Jack saw a few nods of agreement in the crowd. A flicker of hope ignited in his chest. The battle for Rustville's future had just begun. The abandoned factory loomed in the twilight. Its rusted skeleton was a stark reminder of Rustville's declining prosperity. Jack Harmon approached cautiously. His footsteps echoed in the vast, empty space. The air was thick with the scent of decay and lost dreams.
Hello, Senator Burke? You wanted to meet?
Jack, thank you for coming. I appreciate your discretion.
Senator Burke emerged from the shadows. His tailored suit contrasted starkly with the dilapidated surroundings. His smile was warm. However, his eyes were calculating. This combination gave the senator an intriguing and somewhat unsettling presence.
What's this about, Senator? Why all the cloak and dagger?
Jack, I'll be direct. Your campaign is admirable. However, it's causing complications. I have a proposition for you.
Jack's forehead wrinkled. A mix of curiosity and suspicion appeared on his face. These emotions were clearly visible in his expression.
What kind of proposition?
I have a position for you. It's a very lucrative opportunity. Your background and recently acquired political skills make you an asset. You'd be valuable to my team. Of course, this would require some changes. You'd need to step back from your current activities to take on this new role.
Jack's eyes widened as he understood the consequences. For a moment, he saw a possibility of a different future. He envisioned financial security for his family. It seemed like a way out of their current struggle. This realization filled Jack with a mix of hope and disbelief.
You want me to abandon the fight for the mill? To give up on Rustville?
Think of it as a strategic retreat, Jack. Sometimes we have to lose a battle to win the war. This could be your chance to make a real difference. You could have an impact on a larger scale.
Jack's hands clenched into fists. His inner conflict showed clearly on his face. The desire was overwhelmingly strong. However, the power of his principles was equally intense. Jack struggled visibly with this internal battle between temptation and his deeply held beliefs.
I can't do it. This isn't just about me, Senator. It's about my family and my friends. It's about this whole town. I won't sell them out.
Jack, be reasonable. The writing's on the wall for Rustville. Its days are numbered. Why go down with the ship? You could be sailing to new horizons instead.
Because this ship is my home. And I won't abandon it, no matter how sweet the deal.
Jack's voice trembled slightly. However, his resolve remained clear. Senator Burke's friendly demeanor cooled noticeably.
I see. Well, I can't say I'm not disappointed, Jack. I hope you understand. This complicates things.
Is that a threat, Senator?
Not at all. Just an observation. Good night, Mr. Harmon. I suspect our paths will cross again soon.
Senator Burke's footsteps faded into the night. Jack stood alone in the abandoned factory. The weight of his decision settled on his shoulders. Along came a chilling realization of the forces against him. He had chosen his path, but the cost was becoming clear.
What have I gotten myself into?
His whispered words were swallowed by the vastness. The empty factory absorbed every sound. Jack was left with nothing but echoes. His troubled thoughts reverberated in the silence. The sun was setting over Rustville. Long shadows stretched across the old steel factory. Jack Harmon stood at the entrance, his face creased with concern. He waited for his son Thomas to arrive. The crucial vote on the mill's future was just hours away. Jack needed all the support he could get.
Thomas! Over here, son. I'm glad you could make it. We need to talk about tomorrow's vote.
Dad, there's something I need to tell you.
Jack's forehead creased as he noticed the hesitation in Thomas's voice. The young man's eyes moved nervously around the room. Thomas couldn't bring himself to look directly at Jack, his father.
What is it, Thomas? You look like you've seen a ghost.
I've accepted an internship, Dad, with the Chinese company that's buying the mill.
The words hit Jack like a physical blow. He staggered back, overwhelmed by the impact. His hand gripped the weathered handrail of the mill's steps. Jack steadied himself, seeking support from the old structure.
You did what? Thomas, how could you, after everything we've been fighting for?
Dad, please try to understand. This is a huge opportunity for me. It's not just about Rustville anymore. The world is changing rapidly. We need to change with it.
Change? Is that what you call it? Selling out your hometown isn't change. This mill is our lifeblood, Thomas. It represents our history and our future.
Jack's voice echoed across the empty mill yard. His tone was raw with emotion. Thomas flinched at the sound. However, he stood his ground firmly. The tense atmosphere hung between them, filled with unspoken words and conflicting feelings.
I'm sorry, Dad. I have to think about my future too. This internship could open doors for me. Rustville and you never could offer such opportunities.
Thomas turned and walked away after speaking. Jack was left alone as darkness gathered around him. The weight of betrayal settled heavily on Jack's shoulders. This betrayal threatened to crush his resolve. Hours passed as Jack wandered the streets of Rustville. His mind was filled with doubt and despair. As he approached City Hall, he heard a familiar voice. The voice called out to him.
Jack, what are you doing out here so late?
Mayor Linda Chen approached. Her face showed visible concern. She observed Jack's disheveled appearance. The mayor's worried expression reflected her reaction to Jack's unkempt state.
Mayor Chen, I'm struggling with uncertainty. I don't know if I can continue this fight. My own son has turned against our cause.
Jack, listen to me. This fight was never going to be easy. It's not just about your son. It's not even just about Rustville. This is about standing up for what's right. It's about doing that even when the whole world seems against you.
Jack raised his gaze. He was surprised. The mayor's voice was full of passion.
You've inspired this town, Jack. You've given people hope. Don't let one setback destroy everything you've built. This setback doesn't matter, even if it's personal. Rustville needs you. We all do.
But how can I face everyone tomorrow, knowing my own flesh and blood has sided with the enemy?
Remember why you started this fight in the first place. It wasn't just for Thomas, was it? This fight was for every worker and family in Rustville. It was for the future of American industry itself.
Jack stood tall. A spark of his familiar determination appeared. It was visible in his eyes.
You're right, Mayor. I can't give up now. We've come too far and sacrificed too much. Thank you for your words. I needed to hear that encouragement.
That's the Jack Harmon I know. Now go home and get some rest. Tomorrow we'll show them Rustville's strength.
Jack walked home with determined steps. The betrayal still hurt him deeply. However, Mayor Chen's words had reignited his fighting spirit. Tomorrow promised a fresh start. The struggle for Rustville's future was ongoing. Jack felt ready to face the challenges ahead, his resolve strengthened by recent events. Before we continue, let's take a moment to reflect. What are your thoughts on this story? What would you like to hear next? Please share your opinions in the comments. The sun rose over Rustville. It cast long shadows across the worn exterior of the steel mill. A crowd of workers stood shoulder to shoulder before the locked gates. Their faces were set with stern determination. Banners and signs waved in the chilly morning air. They proclaimed the workers' defiance against the upcoming takeover.
All right, everyone, listen up. We've come too far to back down now. This mill is our livelihood and our heritage. We're not just fighting for our jobs. We're fighting for the soul of Rustville. Our struggle is about preserving the very essence of our community. Every worker, every family, and every street in this town is counting on us to stand strong. Together, we'll show the world what Rustville is made of.
Jack, they're coming. I see cars pulling up to the south entrance.
Thanks, Frank. Okay, folks, stay calm. Remember what we discussed. We're here peacefully. We're not moving. This is our stand.
As Jack finished speaking, a convoy of sleek black vehicles approached. The crowd tensed, their murmurs growing louder. From the lead car emerged Michael John. He was flanked by security guards and legal representatives.
Mr. Harmon, I presume? I'm Michael John. I represent the new ownership. I must insist that you and your colleagues leave the property right away. This is now private property.
Mr. Zhang, we address you with all due respect. This mill has been the heart of Rustville for generations. We're not just going to relinquish control easily. We are prepared to fight for what's important to our community.
I understand your sentiment. However, the sale is final. We have all the necessary paperwork. Continuing this occupation is illegal.
As the tension mounted, another car pulled up. To Jack's surprise and dismay, Thomas stepped out of the vehicle. Thomas looked uncomfortable in his crisp suit. His attire contrasted sharply with the gritty surroundings.
Dad, what are you doing? This isn't the way to handle this.
Thomas? What are you? Are you working for them now?
I'm here as a liaison. My role is to help with the transition. Dad, please cooperate. Don't make this harder than necessary. We can work together to make this process smoother for everyone involved.
Jack's face hardened as betrayal became evident in his eyes. The crowd behind him grew restless. They sensed the family drama happening during their protest.
A liaison? So you've chosen their side over your own family, your own town?
It's not about sides, Dad. This is about progress and facing reality. The mill can't compete in today's global economy. We need to adapt, not cling to the past.
Jack, the media's here. Channel 7 just pulled up.
Alexandra Reeves emerged from a news van. A camera crew followed close behind her. She quickly assessed the scene around her. Her eyes lit up with interest. An unexpected family confrontation was unfolding before her.
This is Alexandra Reeves reporting live from Rustville Steel Mill. Workers are staging a dramatic occupation at the mill. They aim to prevent a takeover by foreign investors. Jack Harmon is the leader of this protest. Jack, can you tell us why you're taking this stand?
We're here because this mill means more than just business. It represents our heritage and our future. We won't allow it to be sold off easily. We're fight to keep it in our community.
And Thomas Harmon, you're Jack's son, correct? You seem to have a different opinion on this matter. Care to comment?
I'm trying to facilitate a peaceful transition. Change is inevitable. We need to find a way forward. This way should benefit everyone. Our goal is to support a calm shift towards a new situation that works for all of us.
The cameras rolled, capturing the tense standoff. A family divide was evident in the scene. Jack felt the weight of the moment. He knew that today's events were crucial. These events would shape his family's future. Moreover, they would determine Rustville's fate.
Thomas, I never thought I'd see this day. My own son now stands against everything we've built here. But if this is where you take your stand, so be it. We're not backing down, not today, not ever.
The crowd behind Jack roared their approval. Thomas looked torn between his family ties and his new role. The sun climbed higher in the sky. The stage was set for a confrontation. This would challenge family bonds, community ties, and their entire way of life. The sun rose over Rustville. Long shadows stretched across the worn exterior of the steel mill. Jack Harmon stood at the gates, his face showing deep determination. He carried the weight of sleepless nights. Today was the day, their last chance. They needed to save not just the mill, but the heart of their town.
This is it, folks. Everything we've worked for comes down to this meeting. Let's show them what Rustville is made of.
We're with you, Jack. All the way.
Jack and his fellow workers made their way to the town hall. They were met by Mayor Linda Chen. Her face showed a mix of concern and cautious optimism.
Jack, I've been up all night. I've been making calls nonstop. I hope you're ready for this. The stakes are at their highest.
Ready as I'll ever be, Mayor. Thanks for standing with us on this.
Inside the packed town hall, tension filled the air. Jack took his place at the podium. He cleared his throat as he prepared to speak. The audience looked back at him with anxious faces. Everyone waited to hear what Jack would say.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today for an important cause. We're fighting for more than just jobs. Our heritage and future are at stake. We're also fighting for our right to self-determination. I have a plan to present to you. It's about worker ownership of the Rustville steel mill.
A murmur rippled through the crowd. Jack began to outline the proposal. Dr. Samantha Lee stood nearby. She nodded encouragingly.
The numbers add up. With the right support and management, this model shows promise. It could save the mill from closure. Moreover, it has the potential to make the mill thrive.
That's all well and good. But where's the money coming from? You can't expect the state to pay for everything. This is just your unrealistic idea, Harmon. It's not a practical plan that anyone would fund.
Senator Burke's voice cut through the room. His tone was clearly skeptical. Jack felt his fists clench involuntarily. Despite this, he forced himself to remain calm.
We're not asking for a handout, Senator. We're proposing a partnership with you. The workers will invest their own money in this project. We're also seeking loans and grants to cover the remaining costs. This isn't just about Rustville. It's about proving that manufacturing in America can adapt and survive.
If I may interject, we've already secured interest from several private investors. These investors see the potential in this model. This could be a blueprint for renewing factory towns. The model could be applied across the country to rejuvenate manufacturing areas.
The debate continued with intensity. Jack noticed a gradual shift in opinion. Even skeptical officials began to show agreement. However, the final decision remained uncertain. The outcome hung in the balance as the discussion progressed.
I've dedicated my life to this mill. It's a family tradition, just like my father before me. There's a chance to keep it in American hands. We can give these workers a real stake in their future. I'm all for this opportunity. But we need to act quickly. The foreign buyers won't wait forever.
Robert Thompson finished speaking. A hush fell over the room. The tension in the air was heavy. Jack looked around at the others. He met the eyes of his fellow workers. Jack also saw his son Thomas and wife Sarah. Everyone knew the next moments were crucial.
I've heard enough. Congressman Foster here. I'm prepared to fully support this initiative. Let's bring this to Washington. We'll show them what real American innovation looks like.
A cheer erupted from the crowd. Jack knew they weren't clear of danger yet. The meeting adjourned with promises of further discussions. There was also potential for future funding. After this, Jack found himself face to face with Mayor Chen.
You did it, Jack. You got them listening. But now comes the hard part. You need to make it all happen, and you must do it before time runs out.
We've come this far together, Linda. Whatever comes next, Rustville won't go down without a fight.
They stood there, facing a daunting task. The weight of their mission loomed before them. In the distance, an old mill whistle sounded. It was a reminder of what they were fighting for. They had precious little time left to save it all. The sun rises over Rustville, casting a warm glow. It illuminates the old steel factory, the town's beating heart for generations. A diverse crowd gathers at the entrance. Workers, community members, and local officials are present. Their faces show a mix of hope and worry. The air is filled with a sense of anticipation. Jack Harmon steps forward to address the assembled crowd.
Friends, neighbors, and fellow Rustville residents, today marks a new chapter in our town's history. Our proposal for worker ownership has been accepted. But make no mistake, our real work is just beginning.
That's right, Jack. We've got a long road ahead, but we're ready for it.
Thanks, Frank. We're going to need everyone pulling together. This mill isn't just our livelihood, it's our legacy. And now, it truly belongs to us.
Jack's eyes scan the crowd before him. He observes a mix of hope and uncertainty on the faces. Jack spots Linda Chen, the mayor, nodding approvingly. He also sees his son Thomas in the crowd. Thomas's expression is a blend of pride and concern.
Mr. Harmon is right. This is a pivotal moment for Rustville. The road ahead won't be easy, but I believe this community has strength. It also has the determination to succeed.
Thank you, Mayor Chen. Your support has been crucial. Now let's talk about what comes next. We've got to modernize our operations. We need to improve efficiency. We must compete in a global market. This market is tougher than ever.
If I may, Jack. We face significant economic challenges. However, these challenges are not impossible to overcome. We need strategic investments in technology and workforce development. With these investments, we can position Rustville Steel competitively. Our goal is to compete in the international market.
Dr. Samantha Lee steps forward. Her presence brings an air of academic authority. Jack nods gratefully at her arrival. He recognizes her expertise in the proceedings. This acknowledgement silently conveys his appreciation for her contributions.
Dr. Lee is right. We're not just fighting for our jobs anymore. We're now fighting for our future. Every decision we make from here on out is crucial. These choices will shape the destiny of our town and mill.
Dad, I want to help. I know we've had our differences, but I believe in what you're doing. Maybe my business degree can be useful here.
Jack's expression softens. He looks at his son. A mixture of surprise and pride crosses his face. This moment captures the father's emotional response as he observes his child, revealing a tender shift in his demeanor followed by a complex blend of unexpected joy and parental admiration.
Thomas, thank you, son. We're going to need fresh ideas and new perspectives. This is about building a bridge. We need to connect our past and our future.
Jack, honey, remember what we talked about. Tell them about the committee.
Right, thanks, Sarah. We're forming a transition committee to oversee the modernization efforts. We'll need representatives from every department and community members. This isn't just about the workers. It's about all of Rustville.
The union stands ready to support this transition, Jack. We'll make sure the workers' voices are heard. This will happen at every step of the way.
The crowd begins to disperse. People talk excitedly about the news. Jack takes a moment to look up. He gazes at the towering steel mill. The morning sun glints off its surfaces. For the first time in years, the mill seems different. It now shines with renewed purpose.
A year ago, I couldn't have predicted standing here, saying these words. But here we are, at the start of a new era for Rustville. It won't be easy, but nothing important ever is. Together, we can build a future that honors our past. We can secure our children's tomorrow. Our collective effort will shape Rustville's destiny, blending our rich history with our hopes for the future.
The applause dies down. Jack feels a hand on his shoulder. He turns to see Robert Thompson standing beside him. Robert is the former owner of the mill. He has a smile tinged with sadness on his face.
You've done good, Jack. My father would be proud to see the mill now. It's in the hands of people who've dedicated their lives to it. Just promise me one thing. Keep that steel flowing.
You have my word, Robert. We'll make Rustville Steel a name to be reckoned with again.
The crowd disperses as the day's work begins. Jack stands for a moment, watching the first shift enter the mill. A new dawn breaks over the scene. The weight of responsibility settles on Jack's shoulders. With it comes a surge of determination. The battle to save Rustville is far from over. For the first time in years, the future holds promise. Hope shines, strengthened by steel and spirit. The unbreakable resolve of a united community drives them forward. "6 months have passed since the battle for Rustville's steel mill. The fight was fierce, shaking the town to its core. Rustville once stood on the edge of failure. Now, the town hums with a renewed sense of purpose. The mill, now owned by its workers, stands as a beacon of hope. Its smokestacks symbolize a brighter future instead of despair.
Linda, I can hardly believe how far we've come. Look at this place. It's like Rustville has gotten a new lease on life.
It's remarkable, Jack. Your vision and the community's determination have truly transformed our town, but we can't rest on our laurels. There's still so much work to be done.
Jack and Mayor Chen walk through the newly improved downtown. They pass freshly opened shops and renovated buildings. The streets are busier now. There's a mix of longtime residents and newcomers. People are drawn to the town by Rustville's new ideas for business and industry.
How are things with Thomas? I heard he's been involved with some of the mill's new initiatives.
We've found some common ground. It hasn't been easy, but we're both learning from each other. As we were talking, I think I see him now.
Thomas approaches with mixed emotions. His face shows both excitement and nervousness. The tension between father and son has eased. It has been replaced by a cautious respect.
Dad, Mayor Chen, I just came from the mill. The new green steel process is showing promising results. We might be able to reduce our carbon footprint significantly. The reduction could be up to 30% within the year.
That's great news, son. I have to admit, your ideas about sustainability are really paying off. I'm proud of you, Thomas.
A moment of understanding passes between Jack and Thomas. This brief connection bridges their age gap. The difference in generations had once threatened to tear them apart.
Gentlemen, I hate to interrupt. Jack, it's almost time for your speech. The conference is about to begin. Are you prepared to give your presentation?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be. I never thought this would happen. Now I'm addressing a group of business people. The topic is the future of American manufacturing.
The scene shifts to a bustling conference center. Representatives from struggling industrial towns across America fill the auditorium. Their faces show a mix of hope and skepticism. These attendees, coming from areas facing economic challenges, have gathered with conflicting emotions. The bustling atmosphere of the conference center contrasts with the uncertain futures of the towns they represent.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me share a story with you. 6 months ago, Rustville was just another dying steel town. Today, we stand as a model of what's possible. Our community came together with determination. We refuse to give up on our future.
Jack's voice has undergone a transformation. In the past, he was uncertain in such settings. Now, his voice carries the weight of experience. It also reflects his wisdom gained through challenges. This change showcases Jack's personal growth and increased confidence in his abilities.
Our worker-owned mill is about more than just preserving jobs. It's about taking control of our economic future. We're adapting to a changing world while keeping our identity. We've shown that American manufacturing can innovate. It can compete and thrive in today's market. This proves that our approach works, combining tradition with progress.
As Jack speaks, the audience leans forward. They are captivated by his words. In the back of the room, Thomas and Linda watch. They give each other proud smiles as they observe the scene.
The road ahead won't be easy. Rustville has forged a new path. Your towns can do the same. Together, we can rekindle American industry. We won't cling to the past. Instead, we'll embrace the future. We'll shape it with our own hands.
As the applause washes over him, Jack looks out at the crowd of people. He sees hope rekindled in their faces. It's a spark of the same determination that saved Rustville. In that moment, Jack realizes something important. Their struggle was just the beginning of a larger movement. This movement aims to reclaim America's industrial heart.
Dad, that was incredible.
Thanks, son. I couldn't have done any of this without you. You challenged me to think differently. We've got a long road ahead. But I'm glad we're walking it together.
A father and son shake hands. This gesture symbolizes more than family reconciliation. It represents a bridge between old and new. Tradition meets innovation in this moment. This handshake embodies Rustville's rebirth. It also holds the key to America's industrial future. The story is over. Thank you for listening. Please leave a comment about the story. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I will read all of your comments. I'll reply to each of you personally. See you next time.